You know that weird moment when you stand up from your recliner and your knees sound like they're popping bubble wrap? Or when your calves feel like they've been replaced by soggy sponges, even though all you did was walk to the mailbox? At first, you think, I guess this is what getting older feels like. Then you think, maybe I need more calcium, or potassium, or bananas, or kale, or whatever health food people are shouting about on TV this week. So, like a good sport, you double down on eating healthy. You swap chips for fruit, candy for apples, and maybe even treat yourself to a nice juicy mango because, hey, it's natural, right? But here's the kicker. What if I told you that some of those healthy fruits you're eating every day might be quietly teaming up against your legs? Like a little gang of sweet-talking saboteurs. They look innocent, wear bright colors and whisper, "Trust me, I'm full of vitamins." But behind the scenes, they might be jacking up your blood sugar, triggering inflammation, or sneakily nudging your joints into grumpy mode. Sounds dramatic? Maybe. But here's the thing. The senior body is not the same body it was in your 40s, or even your 50s. Your metabolism has changed. Your circulation's got its own moods. Your joints are a bit more opinionated, and while fruits are still a fantastic source of nutrients, some can behave very differently in a body over 60. Especially if you've got diabetes, joint issues, or circulation quirks that didn't show up in earlier decades. So today, we're going to take a fresh and slightly suspicious look at your fruit bowl. We're going to name names. We're going to explain why these fruits, while perfectly fine for most people, might be messing with your mobility and leg strength in subtle, surprising ways. And before you panic, no, we're not here to cancel fruit. This is not a hit job on mangoes and bananas. It's a guide to eating smarter based on how your body works now, not how it used to work in your glory days of all-you-can-eat fruit salad. And trust me, you're not alone. Millions of seniors across the US are quietly struggling with leg weakness, joint soreness, and energy dips, despite following health advice to the letter. But once you understand which fruits may be contributing to those mystery aches, and what you can enjoy instead, you'll feel more in control again. Like your knees aren't rebelling every time you climb stairs. But hey, before we start this fruity investigation, take a second to subscribe if you're into evidence-based health advice that doesn't sound like a lecture from a 32-year-old wellness coach. And drop a comment if you've ever eaten something healthy only to wonder, why do I feel worse? We've all been there. Ready? Let's start with a fruit that's basically the prom queen of health foods. Apple, the sweet-talking traitor in your fruit bowl. You probably trust apples. They're the poster child of health, the gold medalist of lunchbox snacks, the fruit that literally has a proverb on its side. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. And let's be honest, that phrase has been living rent-free in your brain since 3rd grade. So imagine your shock when you realize this fruit may be giving your knees the cold shoulder. Let me explain. Apples, especially the tart, crunchy kinds, like Granny Smith, contain a naturally occurring acid called malic acid. Now, malic acid isn't evil. In fact, it's used in supplements to help with energy production and even fibromyalgia. But like that one friend who can never just have one drink, malic acid in excess can be a bit much, especially for seniors with joint sensitivities. See, as we age, our connective tissues get a little more touchy. Think of your joints as grumpy old neighbors. They used to be easygoing. Now even the sound of a kid's basketball makes them twitch. In some people, frequent consumption of acidic fruits like apples may quietly nudge those joints toward irritation. Not only that, apples, though not as sweet as mangoes or grapes, still pack around 19 grams of sugar per medium apple. That's not catastrophic. But if you're eating apples daily, or worse, drinking apple juice, you're giving your bloodstream a nice little sugar bath each time. Now imagine your metabolism is a tired worker on the night shift. He used to process sugar like a pro. But nowadays he's slow, forgetful, and sometimes lets a few carbs sneak past security. That sugar spike can trigger insulin fluctuations, which in some seniors may lead to subtle leg heaviness, fatigue, or even swelling. But wait, there's more. Did you know that apples rank consistently in the top 5 for pesticide residue when grown conventionally? Even if you wash them, which I hope you do, some of those chemicals linger in the skin, the very part that contains most of the fiber. Now, for younger folks with optimized detox systems, this isn't a big deal. But for seniors with slower liver or kidney function, those residues may add to the body's chemical stress bucket. Put it all together and you've got a sugar hit, some acid irritation, a little chemical residue kicker. None of it is catastrophic, but for seniors with joint discomfort, nerve sensitivity, or blood sugar issues, eating apples every day may slowly chip away at leg comfort without you realizing it. So, should you banish apples forever? Nope. They're still loaded with fiber, antioxidants, and have legit heart health benefits. But here's how to outsmart the apple without throwing it in the compost. Time it right. Eat apples earlier in the day, not before bed when your digestion is winding down. Pair it with protein. Apple slices with nut butter or cheese. Slower sugar absorption, less blood sugar spike. Switch it up. Try lower acid varieties like Fuji or Gala instead of tart types. Go organic when you can, especially if you eat the peel. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you start noticing that your knees creak a little more after your daily apple, it might be your body's way of asking for a fruit break. Because sometimes, the healthiest looking fruit is just really good at PR. Grapes. The tiny ninjas of uric acid. Grapes are cute. They're small. They're juicy. They're like nature's candy with a gym membership, bragging about antioxidants, resveratrol, and heart health every time you see a wellness blog. You think, how can something so tiny and squishy be anything but good for me? But here's the thing about grapes. They may look like innocent, snack-sized superheroes, but inside, they're carrying little biochemical throwing stars, especially if your joints have a history with inflammation. Let's unpack this. Fructose overload. The backdoor sugar trap grapes are high in fructose, which is a naturally occurring fruit sugar. But unlike glucose, the body's preferred energy source, fructose takes a sketchy shortcut straight to the liver, kind of like a party guest who ignores the front door and climbs in through your kitchen window. In moderate doses, no big deal. But if you're snacking on grapes like popcorn, and let's be honest, who isn't? You may be getting more fructose than you realize. Now, here's where it gets sneaky. When your liver processes excess fructose, it can produce uric acid as a byproduct. And guess where uric acid likes to hang out? Your joints, especially in the lower half of your body. Toes, ankles, knees, calves. Yeah, basically the areas that start whispering complaints every time you get up from a chair. In people with sensitivity to uric acid fluctuations, even if you've never been diagnosed with gout, this can mean sudden twinges of pain, stiffness in the legs, or a mysterious, "why do my feet feel like bricks today?" kind of vibe. 2. The I accidentally ate 50 problem. Let's face it, grapes are dangerously snackable. You don't eat a grape. You eat a handful, then another handful. And next thing you know, you've consumed a whole vineyard while binge-watching reruns of Jeopardy. Unlike an apple or orange, there's no mental pause between servings. The satiety switch doesn't flip fast enough. That means more fructose, more sugar, more ninjas. Bonus plot twist: salicylates. Here's a fun bit of chemistry most people don't know. Grapes contain salicylates, a group of natural compounds similar to aspirin. For many people, they're totally harmless, even helpful. But for some folks, especially those with salicylate sensitivity, they can trigger low-level inflammation or joint discomfort over time. You may not notice it right away, but if you've got achy knees after grape season, or your feet feel tight after your third fruit bowl of the week, your body might be whispering, "Hey, grapes are kinda intense." So what's the verdict? Are grapes the enemy? No, not even close. They're packed with antioxidants and offer legit cardiovascular benefits. But for seniors managing inflammation, uric acid levels, or blood sugar swings, moderation is key. How to make peace with grapes. Portion control. Stick to half a cup or a small bunch, not a giant mixing bowl. Pair with protein or fat, cheese, plus grapes. Slower sugar absorption, plus delicious. Pay attention to timing. Avoid munching on grapes at night when metabolism slows. Hydrate well, helps flush excess uric acid out more efficiently. Because even tiny ninjas can be harmless if you know when to duck. Mangoes. The tropical sugar bomb with a sweet grudge. Mangoes are like that charming guest who shows up late to a party, steals everyone's attention, tells a few seductive stories, and leaves before the cleanup. Sweet, smooth, irresistibly golden, and maybe a little toxic for your knees. You don't want to believe it. They taste like summer vacation blended with sunshine and optimism. They've got vitamins, antioxidants, Instagram vibes. So why would mangoes ever betray you? Let's peek under the peel. Natural sugar overload disguised as health food. Here's a mango truth bomb. One average-sized mango contains up to 45 grams of sugar. Yes, you read that right. That's more sugar than a can of Coke. Except mangoes don't wear warning labels. They wear halos and tropical filters. Now, if you're in your 30s with a humming metabolism, your pancreas can handle that sugar roller coaster like a boss. But if you're 60 plus and your insulin response has slowed to a cautious crawl, that same mango hits your bloodstream like a sugar tsunami. Blood sugar spikes. Insulin kicks in, slowly. Then comes the crash. And for many seniors, those crashes aren't just about energy dips. They come with a cast of physical side effects. Legs that feel heavy, like you're walking through molasses. Ankles that quietly puff up by dinner. A warm, almost buzzing sensation in the calves or feet. It's not dramatic, just gradual, like a tropical con artist stealing your mobility, one mango at a time. The problem of portion amnesia. You don't snack on mangoes, you indulge. One slice becomes a bowl. Then you clean the pit, which somehow turns into another slice, and before you know it, your blood sugar graph looks like a roller coaster at Six Flags. And here's the trap. Mangoes feel light, refreshing, guilt-free. But their sugar load doesn't care how innocent they taste, only how your body processes it. And aging metabolisms don't exactly love surprises. Add inflammation to the mix. Spiking blood sugar can trigger inflammatory responses, especially in people with diabetes, insulin resistance, or pre-existing joint issues. And if you've got circulation problems or nerve sensitivity, even mild mangoes can sometimes amplify those symptoms. Some seniors report waking up with calves that feel tight or warm, leg muscles that feel achy or twitchy after eating, fruit-heavy meals, feet that get puffy, then mysteriously unpuffy later in the day. Mangoes don't cause these problems in everyone, but if you're already prone to inflammation, they might nudge your system just enough to notice. So, should mangoes be exiled? No exile, just watched closely. Mangoes are still nutrient-rich and delicious, but they're like that friend who can't stop at one margarita. Fun in moderation, exhausting in excess. Here's how to keep mangoes from going full tropical drama. Queen small servings, half a cup of diced mango, shares plenty. Eat with healthy fats or protein, helps slow sugar absorption. Daytime. Only. Avoid mangoes in the evening when your metabolism is slowing down. Watch your symptoms. If your legs feel heavier after mangoes, your body's dropping hints. Because even tropical sweetness comes with a fine print, and your legs deserve to read it. Bananas. The potassium hero with a secret sugar plot. Bananas. They're the Clark Kent of fruit. Wholesome, reliable, and conveniently pre-packaged in nature's own biodegradable Ziploc. They've been showing up in your cereal since the Reagan administration, saving you from leg cramps and making smoothies feel less like salad and more like dessert. And yes, bananas are rich in potassium, which helps regulate muscle contractions, nerve signals, and fluid balance. They're often recommended for cramp prevention, especially for seniors. So why are we side-eyeing this potassium-packed hero? Because even superheroes have secrets. Bananas are sugar in disguise. That soft, mellow sweetness, that's 14 grams of natural sugar in a medium banana. Not a crime on its own, but combine it with fast-digesting carbs and bananas enter your system like a flash mob. Quick, uninvited, and likely to cause chaos in your blood sugar levels. For young, insulin-efficient bodies, no problem. But in aging bodies, where insulin resistance is more common, that sugar hit can trigger spikes, dips, and, you guessed it, inflammation. And where does low-level inflammation like to hang out? Your legs, your knees, your ankles. That spot, behind your thigh that acts like it's 110 years old when you try to get out of bed. The irony: potassium helps, but also hurts? Here's the paradox. Potassium helps reduce fluid retention in many people, but bananas may not be a one-size-fits-all solution. For seniors with kidney or heart conditions, that much potassium can actually throw off fluid balance. And when that happens, the body can respond with mild swelling in the feet, puffy ankles, a strange feeling of tightness in the knees or calves. It's like the banana is saying, "I meant well, but I didn't read your chart." 3. Banana timing matters. Most people eat bananas as a quick breakfast or an evening snack. But here's the catch. In the morning, your blood sugar is already low and sensitive to spikes. At night, your metabolism is slowing and more prone to storing excess sugar. In both cases, if your banana isn't paired with protein or fat, you're just giving your bloodstream a solo sugar performance. And that never ends in a standing ovation. Are bananas bad? No. They're still loaded with vitamins B6, C, and potassium, and offer legitimate health benefits, especially for people who need extra calories or are super active. But if your legs feel heavy, your ankles puff up, or you crash mid-morning after a banana breakfast, you might need to tweak your approach. How to enjoy bananas without the blood sugar circus. Pair with protein or fat. A banana with peanut butter is a classic for a reason. Eat earlier in the day. Give your body time to burn off the carbs. Go for half. Yes, half. You're not in a banana eating contest. Choose greener bananas. Slightly underripe bananas have more resistant starch. Slower sugar release. Because even the good guys need boundaries. Pineapple. The acidic charmer with enzyme drama. There's something about pineapple that feels exotic, tropical, friendly. Like it just flew in from a Caribbean beach with a flower behind its ear and said, "Hey, let's help those joints." And be fair, it's not all lies. Pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme that's been praised for its anti-inflammatory effects. There are even supplements made from it, marketed specifically to reduce joint pain. So how could something with that kind of resume possibly be a problem? Well, just like that one charming neighbor who's always smiling but somehow causes drama at every block party, pineapple has a few secrets under the surface. Let's start with sugar. 1 cup of pineapple contains around 16 grams of sugar. Not off the charts dangerous, but when paired with its high acidity, it can hit your system fast and hard. For someone under 40 with a strong metabolism and no blood sugar issues, that's just another tasty snack. But for seniors, especially those with diabetes or insulin resistance, this sugar-acid combo can be like inviting fireworks into a room full of candles. As we age, our body's blood sugar control gets a bit cranky. Insulin doesn't work as efficiently. Blood vessels get more sensitive. And joints? Let's just say they're not fans of surprises. A sudden sugar surge can lead to a mild but very real inflammatory response in some people. And because the legs are furthest from the heart, and often the first to suffer from poor circulation, they tend to speak up first. That tightness in the knees, the low-level swelling in your feet by late afternoon, the mysterious feeling of pressure in your calves after a fruit-filled lunch. You might not trace it back to the pineapple, but your body is connecting the dots. Now, let's talk about that acidity. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits out there. Great for tenderizing meat, not so great for already inflamed joints. For people with arthritis or general joint sensitivity, that acid can sometimes act like sandpaper on sore tissue. It's not instant pain, but more like a slow, creeping discomfort that builds with regular consumption. And here's a twist that often gets overlooked. Bromelain, while helpful for inflammation in many cases, can interact with certain medications, blood thinners, antibiotics, even some blood pressure drugs. If you're on regular prescriptions and eat pineapple frequently, you might be affecting how those meds work without even realizing it. So what do we do with this information? Are we canceling pineapple? Throwing it out with the compost? Not quite. Pineapple still has its benefits, but if you're noticing leg heaviness, extra inflammation, or unpredictable energy after eating it, especially if you're over 60 and on medications, it might be time to rethink how often you're indulging. You don't have to cut it out completely. Just get strategic. Keep portions modest. Avoid pairing pineapple with other high-sugar fruits. And maybe don't make it your bedtime snack. Your knees will thank you for that one. Because sometimes the most charming guests at the health party are the ones that cause the quietest chaos. Ready for the next? We'll move on to oranges, the golden child of breakfast that might not be as innocent as it seems. Oranges, the citrus icon with a hidden edge. Oranges are like the morning person of the fruit world. Bright, cheerful, full of vitamin C and good intentions. For decades, they've been marketed as the ultimate breakfast sidekick, the cold-fighting champion, the juicy symbol of health and immunity. If fruit had a mascot, it would probably be an orange wearing a cape. But just because something has a sunny reputation doesn't mean it's always playing nice with your body, especially as you age. Let's start with what makes oranges so appealing. They're refreshing, hydrating, and rich in immune-supporting nutrients. For most people, they're a reliable go-to, especially during cold and flu season. But under that bright orange peel lies a surprising duo: acid and sugar. And for some seniors, that combination isn't always a welcome guest. Oranges contain a decent amount of natural sugar, about 12 grams per medium fruit. While not sky-high, that's still enough to cause a noticeable bump in blood glucose, particularly for those with insulin resistance or prediabetes. And when blood sugar rises, quickly and repeatedly, the body responds with insulin and, sometimes, with low-grade inflammation. That inflammation can quietly make its way to your joints, showing up as stiffness in the knees, heaviness in the legs, or discomfort in the hips that makes walking or standing up from a chair feel just a little bit harder than it used to. But what really sets oranges apart is their acidity. Oranges are loaded with citric acid, which gives them that bright, tangy flavor. While that might be great for your taste buds and vitamin C levels, it's not always kind to your joints, especially if you already deal with arthritis, gout, or inflammation. In some sensitive individuals, that acid can act like a chemical irritant, not on your skin, but deep inside your body's soft tissues. Over time, some people begin to notice that their joints feel tighter after meals that include citrus, especially if those meals happen frequently. And then there's the medication factor. Oranges, like their cousins grapefruit and pomelo, contain compounds that may affect how certain medications are processed by the liver. While oranges don't interfere as dramatically as grapefruit, they still contain furanocoumarins and other flavonoids that could mildly alter how your body handles medications, especially those prescribed for blood pressure or cholesterol. If you're taking multiple prescriptions, this is something worth asking your doctor about. None of this means oranges are bad. They're still packed with vitamin C, potassium, and antioxidants. But for some seniors, especially those managing blood sugar or inflammation, oranges might quietly contribute to daily discomfort. So what can you do? First, moderation. If you love oranges, consider having them just a few times a week instead of daily. Second, avoid orange juice, which is far more concentrated in sugar and acidity than the whole fruit. Third, pay attention to timing. Some people find they tolerate citrus better earlier in the day when their body is more active. And finally, observe how your body reacts. If your joints feel tighter in the morning or your legs feel more tired, after certain meals, try skipping citrus for a week or two and see what changes. Sometimes the foods we trust the most are the ones we least suspect, and understanding how they interact with your changing body is one of the smartest ways to take control of your health without fear or confusion. Next, we'll wrap up the fruit investigation with the final suspect, watermelon, the hydration hero that might be hiding a sweet little secret. Let's keep going. Watermelon, the hydration hero with a sugary secret. Watermelon is the fruit of summer. It shows up at family picnics, 4th of July cookouts, and backyard gatherings with a giant grin on its face saying, "Relax, I'm 92% water." You think, finally, a guilt-free snack that hydrates me while tasting like dessert. And that's partly true. Watermelon is low in calories, refreshing, and a great way to stay hydrated on hot days. But once again, the story doesn't end there. Underneath all that water is something sneaky: sugar. And more importantly, how fast that sugar hits your bloodstream. Watermelon has one of the highest glycemic indices of any fruit. That means your body absorbs its natural sugar very quickly, especially when you eat it by itself on an empty stomach. The result is a fast rise in blood sugar, followed by a crash that may leave you feeling tired, foggy, or strangely heavy in the legs. For younger people or those with strong insulin function, this isn't a big deal. But for seniors with diabetes, prediabetes, or metabolic syndrome, it can be enough to cause noticeable discomfort. And let's be honest, who eats just a few cubes of watermelon? It's so light and juicy that one slice turns into 2, then 4, and suddenly you've eaten half a melon without even realizing it. Because it doesn't feel like food, it feels like water. But that water comes with sugar, and when consumed in large amounts, it can contribute to inflammation, water retention, and yes, discomfort in your joints and lower body. Some seniors notice a strange feeling in their calves after eating watermelon, a sense of tightness, a little puffiness around the ankles that wasn't there earlier in the day, a subtle ache that kicks in during a walk that felt easy yesterday. It's not dramatic, but it adds up. Then there's the circulation factor. As we age, our circulation changes. The body becomes less efficient at pushing nutrients and oxygen to the extremities, especially if blood sugar levels are fluctuating. That's when you start to feel it. In your knees, in your feet, in the way your legs respond when you stand after sitting too long. This doesn't mean watermelon is bad. It's still packed with antioxidants like lycopene and can help support hydration, which is crucial for joint and muscle health. But it does mean that portion size, timing, and balance matter more than ever. So how do you enjoy watermelon without letting it throw off your day? First, keep your portions reasonable, a small bowl, not half a melon. Second, try pairing it with a handful of nuts or a slice of cheese to slow down how quickly the sugar hits your system. And third, avoid eating it late at night when your metabolism is slower and your body is less active. Your body is still capable of enjoying sweet, hydrating foods. You just need to adjust the rhythm. Watermelon isn't the villain. It's just a fast-moving guest that sometimes crashes the party if you're not paying attention. What we're talking about today isn't just about fruit. It's about understanding how your body works now, not 20 years ago. If you're someone who values evidence-based health information that respects your stage of life and gives you practical, non-extreme choices, then you're in the right place. And if you find this kind of content helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss updates. Also, take a moment to share in the comments. Have you ever felt discomfort in your legs or joints and wondered if something in your diet might be playing a role? Your story might help someone else connect the dots. Let's learn from each other.